Have you ever wondered how a game keeps track of your high score, or how an app greets you by name? Well, the secret is one of the simplest, yet most powerful ideas in all of programming: variables. And today, we're going to break down exactly what they are and how they work.
I mean, really think about it for a second. You're playing a game, the score is racking up, or you log into an app and it says, "Hey, Samantha." How does it know that? How does the computer hold on to that specific piece of information just for you? Well, the answer is something called a variable. And honestly, the best way to picture it is just as a simple labeled box. That's it. You give the box a name, and you can stick some information inside it to use later on. So let's see what this looks like in actual code. When we write this line, we're giving Python a command. We're saying, "Hey, Python, create a box for me." Slap a label on it that says name, and inside I want you to put the text Samantha. It's really that straightforward. Okay, so we've got our box, but how do we label it? Turns out, you can't just call it anything you feel like. Python is pretty flexible, but it has a few simple and kind of important rules for naming your variables. And you know what? The rules are pretty easy to remember. You can use letters, numbers, and the underscore character. The big things to watch out for are you can't start a name with a number, and you've got to remember that names are case sensitive. That means a lowercase age is a totally different variable from an uppercase age. You stick to these and you'll be golden. And here you can see exactly what I mean. The examples on the left, all good. They follow the rules. But the ones on the right show the common mistakes, starting with a number, trying to use a special Python word like class, or throwing in a character like a hyphen. Python just won't allow it. Right, so we know how to name our boxes. Now for the fun stuff. Let's talk about what we can actually put inside them, and more importantly, how we can change things up later. You can store all different types of data. A whole number, like 10, that's called an integer. A number with a decimal point, like 3.5, we call that a float. And any text you put inside quotes, that's a string. You'll hear those terms a lot, so they're good to know. And here is something that makes Python really, really cool and super beginner-friendly. You don't have to tell the box ahead of time what kind of stuff you're going to put in it. It just figures it out as you go. This incredible flexibility is called dynamic typing. So, for example, we could start by creating a variable called x and tell Python to store the number 25 in it. Simple enough, right? But then, later in our program, we can take that exact same variable, x, and assign it something totally different, like this piece of text. The variable just adapts. The old value, 25, is totally gone, and the new text, the string, takes its place. Python also gives us some awesome shortcuts to keep our code looking clean. If you want a few variables to hold the same value, you can just chain them together like this. Or if you need to create a few different variables at once, you can do it all in one clean, readable line. It's super handy. Okay, so we've been using this labeled box idea, and it's a great way to start. But now it's time for the big reveal. I'm going to let you in on a little secret about how Python variables really work under the hood. This is the key. It's a small shift in thinking, but it makes all the difference. What if the variable isn't the box holding the thing, but it's more like a label that just points to where the information is actually stored in your computer's memory? Because that's what's actually happening. Variables don't store the values themselves. They store references. You can think of it as a memory address that point to an object where the value lives. So the variable name is really just a pointer. All right, let's walk through this. First, we say x equals 5. Python creates an object for the number 5 in memory and makes the name x point to it. Now, this next part is so important. When we say y equals x, we are not making a copy of the number 5. We're just creating a new label, y, and telling it to point to the exact same object that x is already pointing to. Now watch this. We change x. We say x equals Python. What happens? Python creates a brand new object for the string Python, and it moves the pointer for x so that it now points to this new object. So what's the result? Did changing x do anything at all to y? Nope, not one bit. The pointer for y never moved. It still aimed squarely at that original object, the number 5. Getting this separation is absolutely key to understanding Python. Okay, now that we get the theory behind variables and these object references, let's look at a couple of really practical things you can do with them that you'll use all the time when you're coding. So sometimes you have data in one format, but you really need it in another. Maybe you get a number from a user, but it comes in as text. Python gives us these super simple built-in functions, int,
float, and string to switch data between types. We call this typecasting.
And check out this slick trick. It really shows off how elegant Python can be. In a lot of other languages, if you want to swap the values of two variables, it's a whole process. But in Python, you can do it in one single beautiful line of code. It's an awesome little shortcut. So, if you only take a few things away from this explainer, let it be these. Variables are really just pointers. Python is dynamic, so their type can change. The naming rules are simple, but you have to follow them. And reassigning a variable just moves its pointer somewhere else. If you get that, you've pretty much mastered Python variables. And that's really it. From making a game that tracks your progress to an app that knows who you are, variables are the absolute foundation. Now that you have this power to make a computer store and remember information, the only real question left is, what are you going to build?